All right, so I want to give you just a few more reminders. And, when we are adding and subtracting, we can add and subtract the fractions and then add or subtract the whole numbers. But that's different with multiplication. So we'll go ahead and do an example with adding and subtracting first, and then we'll look at how it's different. So with this one, if we want to use our model method and think about that to get common denominators, I would have to make like units with the half, and instead of actually drawing it out, I'm just going to show the multiplication that you would need to do with the model. And that is to multiply this by 3 over 3. Remember, that's because we have a denominator of 3 here. And then this one, we're going to multiply by 2 over 2. So now I've got 2 and 3/6 plus 1 and 2/6. So I've got common denominators. And so what I can do is I can go ahead and just add the fractions. That gives me 5/6. And then I'm going to add the whole numbers. So I've got 3 and 5/6. So it was okay to keep them separated like that. If this would have ended up being, let's say that this was 7/6. So if I had 3 and 7/6, then I would go ahead and rename this. I know that 6/6 is going to make another whole, so I can add that to the 3, and then I have 1/6 left over. But as I'm going through the process, if I don't have to regroup, then I can keep the fractions and the whole numbers separate. But now if we were multiplying, let's look at what happens when we multiply. Let's just say that I had 2 times 1 and 1/4. So in this case, if I've got 2 times 1 and 1/4, I have to multiply the 2 times the whole number 1, and then I have to multiply the 2 times the 1/4. So I can rewrite this as 2 times 1 plus the 2 times the 1/4. I have to do both parts. So 2 times 1 is just going to be 2. And if I'm multiplying 2 times 1/4, if you'll remember, I can put a 1 underneath that to make it a fraction. So 2 over 1. So then I just multiply the numerators. 2 times 1 gives me 2. And then I multiply the denominators. 1 times 4 is going to give me 4. So my answer is going to be 2 and 2/4. A common mistake is just to say 2 times 1 and then put the 1/4 with it. But it's not 2 and 1/4. We end up getting 2 and 2/4. So I could then simplify, since these are both even, I can divide them both by 2 over 2. So my final simplified answer would be 2 and 1/2. I did 2 divided by 2 to get 1, 4 divided by 2 gives me 1/2. So I want you to just remember that as we are, doing all operations with fractions, think about the differences in each of the operations. And I'm probably not going to have time to do this one, but if I had, let's say I had 2 and 1/3 times 3 and 1/2. This one, I'm going to have to make sure that I multiply all parts. So setting up an area model can help with this. So that would make that 2 and 1/3 here, and then 3 1/2 here. So then I have to multiply 2 times 3, 3 times 1/3, 1/2 times 2, and then 1/2 times 1/3. So I have to multiply all parts. Or I could change these to improper fractions. So remember to do that, 3 times 2 would give me 6, plus the 1 gives me 7. So I would end up with 7/3. And then 2 times 3 gives me 6, plus 1 gives me 7. So I end up with 7/2. So if you have something like this, depending on the numbers will determine which one of these is going to be easier. But if I do change them, now I can just multiply the numerators. 7 times 7 is going to give me 49. 3 times 2 gives me 6. And so 49 6, but then I can change that to a mixed number, or I can multiply all of these. So the mystery word is spring for today. So I wanted to give you that before this video cuts off. And, just remember each of the operations